Bryan Johnson, the American entrepreneur obsessed with being young, is in hot water again. Not for using his son as a Mad Max blood bag, or for posting his erection data, or even for kind of looking like a homunculus. A New York Times investigation has revealed allegations of pressuring employees, vendors, contract workers, and sexual partners to sign non-disclosure agreements preventing them from speaking about his weird behavior. And apparently, this has been going on for almost a decade. The New York Times interviewed 30 people close to Bryan and his startups, including current and former employees. Many spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were bound by the confidentiality terms and feared retaliation from him. The controversial anti-aging fanatic got super rich after founding the payment processing platform Braintree in 2007, which he later sold to PayPal for $800 million, including the acquisition of Venmo. Since then, he's been on a mission to defy aging and live forever or something, spending a whopping $2 million a year on a bizarre and obsessive routine that he swears makes him age just 8 months each year. His daily schedule is like fully Black Mirror. He wakes up at the ungodly hour of 5 a.m., does an hour of exercise, then spends 4 to 5 hours doing what he calls concentrated thought. Me when I'm just sitting there, you know what I mean? Oh, and don't forget the 50+ supplements, a strictly vegan diet, blood transfusions, and daily health tests. Then at night, he hooks himself up to a machine that tracks his nighttime erections. Because science? Basically, this dude is living like a well-oiled, super health-conscious robot. The absolute spectacle of a man doing anything he can to live forever has obviously brought in media attention, and he was the focus of the Netflix documentary Don't Die, The Man Who Wants to Live Forever. He calls his attempts to live longer the blueprint. He's even built a website, rejuvenationolympics.com, where people can subscribe to testing kits that measure their speed of aging and compete with others in the community. Bryan declared, "By doing Blueprint, one of the key objectives is to achieve the lowest possible biological age, and that his regime has, quote, reversed my biological age 5.1 years. But there's concerning allegations unfolding behind the scenes that involve everyone's favorite legal weapon, confidentiality agreements. Yay! Basically, if you worked for him, dated him, sold him something, or are connected to him in any way, you probably had to sign one of these agreements. Sometimes it was an exchange for a little payout severance or a sort of you can keep your job deal. But now these agreements that were supposed to keep everyone hush-hush about his private life and business dealings are starting to backfire. At least 3 ex-workers, including one ex-fiancé, have filed complaints with the National Labor Relations Board, claiming that the confidentiality terms they agreed to were way too broad and violated federal laws that protect workers' rights to talk about their jobs. Jamie Contento, Bryan's personal assistant and one of the people who filed a complaint, said she felt pressured to sign the agreements because she feared she would lose her job if she didn't. Little bit of backstory on Bryan and how things started going really weird. Bryan started Braintree, sold it, became a multi-millionaire, and afterwards he left his Mormon roots and went through a phase of exploration. He divorced his wife, left the Mormon church, and according to friends, former employees, and court documents, he hired prostitutes and used drugs like acid and DMT. While he hasn't talked publicly about using acid, he is an advocate for psychedelics like DMT and even has its chemical structure tattooed on his arm. He also began getting really into confidentiality agreements, which prevented people from discussing his personal life. In 2016, he founded Kernel, a brain tech startup, turning down an offer to work with Elon Musk, who created Neuralink. Over time, Bryan became increasingly concerned with his reputation and started requiring more and more confidentiality agreements, including one for a date before they used acid together in 2020. The agreements were typically part of employment contracts at his company, with vague terms about what couldn't be discussed. Bryan also allegedly lamented that Elon Musk got more attention than him, which is funny. By last year, Blueprint's employment contracts were 20 pages long and included many restrictions. One of these required employees to keep details private about Bryan's home, office, personal belongings, any properties or vehicles that he owned in any private areas of his home or other space that weren't open to the public. Employees at Blueprint, a company with around 30 staff members, sometimes had to sign up to 3 separate agreements, which according to legal experts is unusual. One of these was an opt-in document, not a confidentiality contract, but a way to protect the company from lawsuits over what employees might see or hear at work. It required employees to agree that they were fine with Bryan wearing little to no clothing and hearing discussions about sexual activities. They also had to agree that Bryan's behaviour was not unwelcome or abusive. So yeah, I don't really know what to say about that except maybe put your damn pants on at work. Like, allegedly during work days, Bryan frequently walked around with little clothing on and sometimes flirted with Blueprint's largely female staff. But because of the opt-in agreement, no one felt able to complain. Jamie, who had also worked at Colonel, said she had been at Blueprint for a year when she was asked to sign the opt-in agreement. She agreed because she didn't want to lose her job, but she said the document just didn't feel right. When she exited the company, she said, "There were certain professional boundaries that, from my perspective, seemed to blur over time. By early last year, some Blueprint employees were frustrated with the company's confidentiality agreements, especially as the company did face issues." One concern was the health supplements that they were selling, specifically a $49 longevity mix. Supplements are less regulated than medicines, and while some executives wanted to follow standard clinical procedures, Bryan had customers pay to join. He asked volunteers to join a study on these supplements called the Blueprint Stack, costing participants over $2,100. Of the 1,700 participants, about 60% experienced side effects, including low testosterone and prediabetes. One employee noted in February 2024 that many complained the longevity mix made them sick. Employees felt they couldn't share the findings because of the confidentiality agreements, according to emails and text messages. Last summer, Oliver Zolman, Bryan's longtime longevity doctor, who was featured in the Netflix documentary, left Blueprint after raising concerns about the study's results. He too had signed a non-disclosure agreement, but he refused to sign another one for a month's severance due to the strict terms. Bryan didn't release the study results by summer 2024 as he had promised, but in January he shared positive data from 300 of the 1,700 participants. The supplements are still being sold. In an email to The Times, Bryan said that Dr. Zolman had resigned to, quote, seek professional help for his serious mental health concerns. It's always these crazy dudes who want to say everyone else has mental health issues, like Elon, right? Like, mental health issues, huh? You literally sleep like in a chamber. Bryan's former fiancée and employee, Taryn Southern, worked for him at the brain tech company Colonel. In February of 2020, Bryan fired her while she had stage 3 breast cancer after they broke up. Yeah. She sued him in 2021, claiming he pressured her into signing a separation agreement with strict confidentiality terms, including a $500,000 penalty for violations. Bryan ended up moving the case to arbitration, and in 2023, an arbitrator ruled Taryn had to honor her separation agreement, which prevented her from suing him. He then countersued for legal fees, and she was ordered to pay him over $584,000. My God, that is dark. If that wasn't enough though, trying to bankrupt your former fiancé who literally had cancer, Bryan for some reason decided that the public must know about this and posted a 16-minute YouTube video where he called himself a victim of the dark underground accusation economy, which is not a thing. That's not a thing. On Valentine's Day 2024, he posted a 2,400-word message on X saying he's scared Taryn would try and kill him with scissors and that his health regimen saved her from cancer. The post got over 500,000 views, and his supporters flooded her inbox with hate. Taryn, whose cancer is now in remission, said of the situation, "Cancer treatment and my termination and everything I had to go through, that was all awful. But what felt worse was not being able to share the truth when I was being publicly attacked." Last summer, Taryn filed a complaint with the NIRB, claiming the confidentiality terms violated labor laws protecting employees' rights right to discuss workplace conditions. Although bound by the agreement, she spoke to the Times in order to represent other employees. In February, former assistant Jamie filed a similar complaint, followed by a third former employee. These complaints were part of a coordinated effort which federal law protects. Colonel's CEO said the company is cooperating, and Bryan has hired an employment lawyer, which I would say is a good move. Taryn said current and former employees now regularly discuss their experiences and they hope to bring positive change for others. So what does Bryan have to say about all this? Well, rather a lot actually. As you may have gathered, he kind of does everything at level 1 million. He's been posting up on X with every rebuttal you could think of. One post is a lengthy accusation that the journalist is biased and shares misinformation. He's also posted even more videos about his ex-fiancée, which brother, that's a bit embarrassing. Maybe let her be. As well as this post, which reads, "The New York Times tried to come for me and missed. What was meant to be a takedown ended up reading like a profile piece. They spent a year digging. They talked to 30 people, including former fired employees. Propped up my ex as their star witness, who tried to extract $9 million from me and failed. And still came up empty." I don't feel like they came up empty. I don't know. I don't feel... In between the semi-manic X-posting, he has found time to focus on something even more important, founding his own religion. His religion is named after his longevity slogan, "Don't die," and he thinks it will save the human race. So there's that. But what do you think? When do we call it on psycho-rich people being able to do whatever they want? Or is he just protecting himself and his assets? Or what, he's just a weird freak? Let me know in the comments. I'm interested to hear what you think, because this one's pretty weird, right? Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. We do 5 videos a week on everything happening all around the world and on the news. We're going to keep you up to date with people you care about, the topics you care about, and also maybe some weird people you haven't heard of yet. Make sure you keep coming. See you tomorrow.